I went to my boss, and this is for this point that you're making. I went to my boss, and I said, look, I want to get Dre and Snoop together in a room. Dr. Dre's over. Snoop Dogg's over. Police will never let us do it. Try that shit, you're fired. And I was like, well, okay, let's play Ain't No Fun in Morning Drive. Let's try it. And they're like, Ain't No Fun in Morning Drive. Did we make a mistake here? Do you know what I mean? Like, you want to play Ain't No Fun in Morning Drive. Are you nuts? And I said, well, yeah, but can I do this? And they said no. So what I did is I needed to prove that it would work before it happened. So instead of playing it, I put it in the weekly call-out research. Now, a radio station to decide how they play their records, 50 times, 10 times, whatever, they call people, 100 people, every week, and they play them the hooks of the songs over the phone. And they say, do you know what this is? Scale of 1 to 10, are you familiar with it? Can you name it? And if the people can name it, then the score of the familiarity goes up. Now, if they like it on a scale of 1 to 10, it starts to go up. Now, the next week, you do another 100, and then you average those 2 weeks out. Then you look at the burn, you look at the scores, and then you decide. These 5 are going to get the most play. These next are going to get the most play, or the next most play. Then let's look at, requests and all this other stuff and record sales, kind of add that in and decide what new we're going to play, and then everything else kind of comes after it. So I took Ain't No Fun, and I put it in that. Now, you don't put old records in with the new ones, because you think that the old records, out of 30 records, would come back number 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Number 1. And
now
the chart scores, because no one ever heard it on the radio.
Now, we got to pause for a second, because for our listeners to understand the context of what Damien is talking about, Ain't No Fun and the Homies Can't Have None. That's off Snoop's Doggy Style album that was released in the fall, November, I believe, of 1993. So this is 1997. So
Yep.
This album is 4 years old already. Now, that's what you would call in the music industry one of those deep cuts. Like, if you was in the hood and you listened to that album, you knew about that track. But like you said, Damien, it wasn't on the radio, so this was a lot of people's introduction to it.
It was a passion record.
Yeah, so what it was, you basically gave that album, a second life again.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so
We did.
so the record, So it gets all right. So the record gets on. People are picking up on it. So what happens after that? Just run with it. What happens? Okay, so you play it, and you play.
And my boss came in.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You're about to get fired. I told you not to do it." I threw the research on the table. You couldn't say anything. So I said about that Dre and Snoop idea. He goes, "Don't get crazy." So we had a talk. Baker Boys said, well, and I love the Baker Boys, legendary Baker Boys.
Yeah.
They said, yo, why don't we do the show in Hawaii? Now we avoid all the problems. Fly listeners in. But what you said was it wasn't a current album. So you don't have a budget to promote it. So the label wasn't going to do it. And we didn't know Dre and Snoop, and, how was that going to work? So we booked a show at the Palace in Hollywood. I thought, okay, I'll book the Dogg Pound. Hopefully Snoop will show up. And I'll start doing this all behind the same way that I did the Ain't No Fun thing. I'll start doing this way. But the Baker Boys said, look, we still need a promotion. Why don't we do something with this new artist that's coming up, Notorious B.I.G.?
Mm.
And I said, well, we have Puffy, Can't Nobody Hold Me Down. We got Mix coming out. Why don't we do Bad Boy and the Family? So Puffy agreed to it, crazy. Benny Medina, of all people, agreed to it, which is where I met Benny Medina, and that comes into it later with Mariah. But they said, look, we'll pay the $250,000. We'll fly everybody to Hawaii. You take care of the promotion, and let's get it cracking. So we did Puffy in Paradise in Hawaii. And when they saw that, they said, okay, well, you know, maybe we'll let the program director go and listen to what you're saying. And I said, good, because I hired Snoop Dogg to do weekends at that show. And they're like, what do you mean? So I ran into Snoop Dogg. He said he hasn't been doing too much, and he's off death row. And I asked him, I was doing with Dre. He said he just hasn't talked to him. He said he's free Saturdays. And I was like, so make a little extra money. Why don't you just come by the radio station? Play your new music. Get it buzzing again. So he's playing the stuff, and he comes up on Power 106. Master P hears it. Calls him on the phone. I come in the next weekend, and Snoop's got all this new jewelry on. I'm like, what happened? He goes, Master P signed me. And I'm like, wow. I said, great. He goes, yeah, he heard us playing new music, and da-da-da-da-da. It's great. I'm like, awesome. Have you talked to Dre yet? He's like, no. I'm like, great. My job. So Nino Cuccinello from Interscope Records said that LL Cool J and Dr. Dre were shooting this song, Zoom.
Zoom. Was that the joint? Zoom,
now,
Zoom?
I remember Zoom, 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 Zoom with Snoop Dogg and the bootleg that I got through the Sloth and Swap Meet. You know what I mean?
Shout out to the Swap Meet.
You know, some years earlier. So when I walk up to Dre, the first thing out of my mouth, what the fuck, man? And he's like, what? And I'm like, what is this shit? Like, where's the Snoop Dogg shit? And he's like, oh, you know, I just ain't talked to him, da-da-da-da-da. I was like, yeah, he was telling me he wanted to work with you again. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, he's doing weekends at Power 106, and we were talking, and he want to work with you again. He's like, well, oh, shit, tell that motherfucker I'll put him back on. And I was like, did he just say what? I was like, yeah, okay, he's bullshit. Well, can I get your number? And I'll let you know what he says. He was like, sure, here's my number. And I said, well, what assistant is this? And he goes, nah, this is my headphone number. Rings next to my head, so don't call so early. And I was like, okay. So I go in Saturday. I tell Snoop. Says the exact same thing. I put that motherfucker back on. And there you have it.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more little piece to that. Sorry about that.
No.